It's Divas That Care Radio. Stories, strategies, and ideas to inspire positive change. Welcome to Divas That Care, a network of women committed to making our world a better place for everyone. This is a global movement for women, by women, engaged in a collaborative effort to create a better world for future generations. To find out more about the movement, visit divasthatcare.com after the show. Right now, though, stay tuned for another jolt of inspiration.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Divas That Care. My name is Candace Gish. Well, I'm excited for each and every one of you have tuned in today. We have a great show for you. If this is your very first time, a huge welcome. The Divas That Care is now in its 11th season, and we are listened to in over 30 countries around the world. So a big shout out to all of you that have been a big supporter of ours. I am excited because we're going to be welcoming a brand new diva to our family. Her name is Jane Ubel-Meyer, and this woman is absolutely brilliant, and I'm excited to get to know her with all of you today. Well, Jane, welcome to the Divas That Care. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Thank you, Candace. I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, my goodness. I am beyond thrilled. You know what? You are doing so many amazing things, but before we kind of dive into that, Jane, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself with all of our listeners today?
Absolutely. So my name is Jane Ubel-Meyer, and I am a former television producer, and I worked at Good Morning America and the Wall Street Journal, TV, Entertainment Tonight, ABC. I've made 3 feature films, 1 TV movie and 2 feature films, and 20 years ago I was beside myself. It was after 9/11, and I didn't know what to do, and a friend of mine suggested placing books out in the Hamptons, hotels in the Hamptons. And 20 years ago, I started a program, and we're in our 20th season.
Oh, my goodness. I did not realize it had been going on for that long. What an amazing program this is. And we're going to be talking a lot about that today because I think it's such an innovative way to support authors out there. Books are getting in hands of people that might not have been able to or might not have heard of their books before.
That's right. I mean, here's the thing. I just, you know what? Instead of talking about my career for a minute, I want to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about lately. And I want to talk to all you divas out there and women, whether you're in business, whether you're students, whether you're moms, it doesn't even matter. I want to talk about synchronicity, and I want to talk about life for a minute. I'm at this point in my life where I have been looking back at different things that have occurred, and I want to share something that it's like a tip about my life that is really important. And I think what I want to share is that wherever you are in life, whether you are, in a great place or you're not such a great place, there's always going to be this, I want to call it whispers. That's what I would call it. There are whispers of inspiration, and you have to be wise enough and alert enough to pay attention to what are the whispers. I'll give you an example. When I was 22 years old, I was dating a guy. I thought he was like the it guy. He was older than me. He was like 40, but I didn't care, and I was crazy about him. And he said to me, Jane, if you learn how to scuba dive, I'll take you to St. Martin's, to the Caribbean, to go scuba diving. And I'm going, yes, of course, like an idiot. I jumped into the pool at the YMCA. I learned how to dive. I got certified. We go to St. Martin's, to San Martin, to the Caribbean island. And as he's opening the door to the hotel suite, he turns to me and he goes, Jane, I really like you, but. And, of course, we've all been there where a guy just says, let's just be friends. Well, I was completely devastated. There I was in the Caribbean, 7 days committed, I'm on a vacation, and the guy's not into me. So I was so depressed. However, the one thing that saved me was the fact that right before I left, my stepmother, Marcia, said to me, Jane, take this book with you. And it was this big, thick book. It was like 600, 700, 800 pages. And I'm going, are you kidding? It's like too heavy to carry. But I took it anyway. And that book saved my entire vacation. And that was my first whisper in my life that, hey, a book will save your vacation. And many, many years later, I've had other whispers in my life. And you have to pay attention to the fact that could be the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter, the powers that be. They will give you whispers in your life as to what to do, where to go, and what direction to go in. And the word of advice I have for people is to pay attention to those whispers, because those whispers will help you find your why. It'll help you find your passion. It will lead you down the correct path. Some people may call it intuition. I'd like to call it a whisper because it was a hint of what was to come. Take a book with you when you go to a hotel. Hey, that makes sense. And of course, what do I do now? My company, Bedside Reading, we place books in 5-star and luxury hotels and in the Hamptons.
I love that. And I love how you called it a whisper, because sometimes I was like, you have that feeling inside of you. And, we've talked about that in our show over the years. And I always said, sometimes it's important to listen to these, because with my life, if I wasn't listening to them, I felt like I was getting knocked over the head, because it would always be really pushy after a while. And I just like that you made it into something that it's so true. All of our listeners, there's those times in our lives that, it's so important to listen and just be in that moment. And it's life-changing.
It is life-changing. You have to trust in the universe, is what I like to say. And the universe, if you ask, the universe will drop hints, or they may hit you over the head. I'm not sure what, depends if you're not listening or watching for those hints or whispers. Guide you if you're open to receiving, and you're open to receiving that kind of information. And that's a really important thing to think about. I'll tell you something really weird. When I was 22, 23, I got my first big job. I was working for this TV commercial producer, and I loved the job so much. It was like the best thing that ever happened to me. 3 months into it, I got fired. And I got fired because the producer's girlfriend was jealous and didn't like the fact that I was this cute 24-year-old running around, or however old I was, 22, I think. And I got fired. And I left the office. I was fired. I'm walking down the street in New York City, and I'm weeping because I got fired from my first job, and it was not my fault. And I'm crying, really crying. And all of a sudden, there's a bump, and some woman bumped me in the shoulder. And I look up, and it was a woman that I had helped out a couple of years ago when she was visiting a friend of mine in college, and she was distraught about something. And she said to me, "Jane, why are you crying?" And I go, "I just got fired. Oh, my God, my life is over." And she said to me, "Why don't you come and work for me as an intern at Good Morning America?" And that bump on my shoulder, that whisper, that happenstance, that coincidence, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. I think things are put in your path to take advantage of. And I said yes, not knowing anything. And all of a sudden, that yes turned into a 25-year career of TV producing. So the worst day of my life was I got fired, and then 5 minutes later, I'm at Good Morning America. So it was crazy.
You never know.
You never know, and you have to take these moments where you think, oh, it's a coincidence, and say, maybe it's not a coincidence. Maybe it's my destiny. Maybe it's something I should take advantage of and move forward on. Don't let fear hold you back. I guess
isn't that the
I'll
truth?
tell you, years and years ago, this is a crazy story. Years and years ago, I was on this retreat, and it was really learning how to find your inner wizard and your inner spirituality. And a position where I had to walk across a rope that was 10 feet up high, as long as a football field. And you're harnessed to a tree and ropes, and so that you'd be safe in case you fall. And I was climbing up the tree to get to this rope to sidestep across this rope. And I'm freaking out, and my body is shaking, and I'm scared of heights. And I kept this mantra going in my brain: you can do it, breathe. You can do it, breathe. And I'm doing it great. I'm going across this rope that's 10 feet off the ground. And all of a sudden I panic, and I stop breathing, and I slip. And I ended up on my tush on the rope, And the team behind me on the ground were yelling up to me, Jane, breathe, get up. And I just started to breathe again, and I got up, and I transversed across to the other side, and then I rappelled down. And what that taught me was that I just have to stay in the moment of fear and breathe, and that your breath is so important to connect to your inner strength. And, whenever I get fearful or whenever I go into a place of an unknown, I remember I did that crazy stunt. I could do anything. So what it taught me was to breathe. And it taught me that I have this inner strength that I could do anything.
I love that story. I think that is just an awesome thing. I wish to be able to do stuff like that. When I was younger, I have not a similar story to that, but I was able to, and I thought this is a crazy thing. When I was, I think I was 21, I decided to jump out of a plane. And I thought,
okay, that
whole
would be
time,
right.
Well, I was thinking up there, I was like, what was I thinking when I was up here?
I know.
But
and, it's
what?
so funny. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, it's amazing the things that you start reflecting on and realizing, if I can do that, I can do anything.
You can. And I will tell you something else. So when I talk about bedside reading, I want to talk about how I started this company. So 20 years I'm placing books in the Hamptons, and it was going great. And in 2017, my best friend passed away. Her name was Noreen Fraser, and she was the woman that started and had the idea for Stand Up to Cancer. And she died of breast cancer in LA, and she was my boss at Entertainment Tonight, and we really bonded because I was doing a story many years ago on Shirley MacLaine and reincarnation and all kinds of spiritual things. And when Noreen died, March 27th, I was very, very angry and sad and depressed and hysterical over the loss of this amazing woman in my life. And I was in a deep, deep depression. And one night before I went to bed, I said to my husband, and I said to Noreen out loud, I said, Noreen, I believe in life after death. I believe in reincarnation. I believe that your spirit never will always be around me. So where are you? And why aren't you talking to me in my dreams? And the next morning I dreamt that she and I were at this long oak table and our fingers were intertwined. And I said, Noreen, you're dead. How come I feel you? And she said, because I want you to feel that I'm always with you. And I woke up crying because the dream was really intense. And a couple of weeks later or a couple of days later, I had this concept for bedside reading about expanding the books from just the Hamptons to global. And we started with the United States. And what happened was that I believe that it was Noreen's whispering, again, back to the whisper of bedside reading, that has been led to my success and my belief that Noreen is my partner from the other side. And it is so important for me to believe that because it gives me strength every single solitary day of my life. Now, I think of Noreen and I pray to her and I thank her and I laugh with her and it may be in my imagination, but I believe that she's part of that for me.
I think she is too.
With COVID that hit us all so hard and so many of us lost so many people, it's really comforting for me to believe that the spirit of somebody is on the other side, is still with us. They just not be in physical form, but their energy is still here. So do talk to your loved ones on the other side. They'll hear you. That's my belief. And I believe that the success of my business and my intention is to help my authors in the ways that I can help them is why bedside reading is really taking off in such a big way and internationally.
You know what, I think that too. You've got a great intention, and I can see that within you, that you really want to help people. So I want to kind of dive in now to what bedside reading is. We've talked about it being hotels. We've talked about it being authors. How does this work? And you know what? We have a lot of authors that do listen to our program.
Right.
How can they be a part of it?
So bedside reading is simply this. I believe that book marketing is a layer cake. And the first layer of your layer cake is my hotels. So I want people to read my clients' books. And the best way to get them to read them is to place it into their hotel rooms. And we place books in the Hamptons, and we place books in the Ritz-Carlton in Vail, Colorado, or the Aquilina in Florida, or the Fairmont in Santa Monica, or the Pierre in New York. So if you place a book in somebody's hands and they like it and they love the cover and they're intrigued, they may read the book. And if they read the book and they like it, these people are sophisticated, they're travelers, they'll tell their friends. But that's one small layer. The second layer of what we do is we place books in giveaways in the media, in Women's World, in First for Women. We do editorial in Hollywood Weekly. And Hollywood Weekly is a magazine that is actually placed in 153 Books A Million stores. It's placed in Kroger's, in Target. So these magazines are getting out there. Another layer is we have a great newsletter that goes out. Another layer is our social media. Another layer is events. While events have been put on hold because of COVID, we've always had book reading and book signing events. So with book marketing, it's never one thing, it's everything. And bedside reading works with every major publisher, from Hachette to Simon & Schuster, but we also have a division that is closest to my heart, which are my independent authors. So what happens is that if an independent author wants to work with us, they apply. It's bedsidereading.com/apply. And then we look at their books very carefully. We look at the cover, most importantly. Word of advice to authors, don't cheap out. Go get a professional book cover designer. We look at reviews, we look at the content, and we look at the message. And we take all kinds of books except religious books, or we don't take political books. Sometimes there's a book that's like a 50 Shades of Grey, and we have a way to promote that, where we have a sticker that says for mature audiences. But for the most part, it's got to be about the book cover and the content. And what is the message? And even if it's fiction, nonfiction, I don't care. It's got to look stunning. It's got to look professional, like a Simon & Schuster or Random House had actually published it themselves. We do have fees because, this is not, we have to earn a living here. We try to keep our fees really moderate for all that we do for an author. I believe that we are one of the tools that an author should have in their toolbox for when they publish a book, because you cannot do it alone. You need help. And so we're here to help that effort.
I love that. And you have different things that happen, different themes throughout the year. And you've got a lot of stuff going on, and you've got Mother's Day coming up.
Oh, yeah.
What do you have planned for Mother's Day, and why did you decide to do special occasions and have books on those occasions?
So in the Hamptons, for 20 years or 19 years, the Hamptons really, for me, people from New York City went to the beaches out in the Hamptons from Memorial Day all the way through October. But because of COVID, the whole dynamics have changed. Everyone's fleeing New York City or have already fled, and they go there now all year round. The Hamptons the hotels are totally solidly booked. So we called our hotels and we said, what are you doing for Mother's Day? They go, oh, we're booked. We've got brunches and we have, cocktail parties. And we basically said, would you like to have a special arrangement of books for your guests? And, of course, they all said yes. So we have, of course, amazing books. We have Young Divas That Care compiled by Candace Gish. I wonder if you know that woman. We have a great book called No Stone Unturned by Nadine Stone, A Story of Adoption. We have another memoir called Strong Like Water by Layla Tariff. And we have this memoir called Never Sit If You Can Dance by Jo Geisey. Jo Geisey has won awards for this, and she actually was nominated, or she may have won a Peabody Award years ago when she worked at NPR. Oh, wow. This is an incredible memoir. Mother, another this is a novel, but another story of adoption. We have a fun romantic rom-com, Hurt Turns by Allison Jones, Beauty Beyond the Threshold by Tiffany Mosher, and Soul Meets Body by Debbie Krzyzewski. So here's the interesting thing. They're all interesting books. They're different, but when the guests come to our hotels, we'll get a gift bag, a tote bag of 3 or 4 of these books. Then the hotels will promote the books on their Instagram sites. We will promote it, and they've all been promoted in Hollywood Weekly, in Women's World, and First for Women, and so on. So it's a layered effect, and I'm so happy to have Mother's Day because what better thing to do than give your mother a great book?
I love that. I just love what you're doing.
Thank you. And if anybody wants to see our collection, if they go to bedsidereading.com, it says Mother's Day. You can just click on the image, and it'll take you to a page where you can actually buy the book or any of the books. So we're super happy to promote our authors' books and help them reach a larger audience, which is what we need.
I love that. And what a great thing to do right now. You know, we mentioned COVID earlier, and it is. A lot of people are trying to navigate through these waters. And for an author out there, I just want to recommend to all of you guys to get a hold of Jane at Bedside Reading, because the programs that she offers is just top-notch. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I really believe that it could really impact so many of the amazing authors out there. And Jane, I definitely want to introduce you to so many of the ones that have come onto our program, because I think they meet the criteria of what you are looking for.
I appreciate that. But, as I said, if we can help an author, I won't take them on. We're very particular. As Candace, as you know, we work hard and we love our authors. I really do. And so does my team. Yeah. And we do have a great system, and we're the only ones in the world that's doing this as a actual program. So we're really proud of ourselves, and this is kind of my dream come true. I mean, my big deal in life when I was a little girl was to read. And when I got into Bedside Reading, I always joked that I got into Bedside Reading and placing books in the Hamptons because I wanted free books from my publishers. Well, that's the joke that it started, but it became my reality. And it's not that I want free books. It's not about that. It's really about what can I do to help my authors. And weirdly enough, that's my why. My why is because it brings me joy to be kind and to give love to my authors. That's my why, because it makes me happy.
Well, I think you're an extraordinary woman, Jane.
Thank you. And when you're living your why, you can't go wrong. You just can't. You got to, it's something about being. I still get chills in my body. When I think about, I'm so happy that I've built this community of authors, but more than that, I've also built a great team, and I've taken some members of my team from a real troubled life to an awesome, inspiring life. And by being part of our community and by giving them tools, by giving them, accolades, giving them love, paying them, that's been one of the greatest treasures of what we're doing.
Well, I think you're doing such a great job. And I want to ask you, Jane, how can our listeners find you? You have an Instagram account. You have a website. Can they, for our listeners that are looking for great books and they just want to be able to follow you, how can they do that?
So on Facebook, on Instagram, Bedside Reading is just at Bedside Reading on Instagram, and you'll be able to be connected to all of our accounts. If you go to the website, bedsidereading.com, there's lots of ways to join us. You can sign up for our newsletter, and we're always promoting different things. And in fact, here's a little secret. When we deliver our Mother's Day tote bags, which we deliver on Wednesday, we're going to hang on to 3 of them, and we'll be able to, if you want one of our tote bags, you can pay for shipping and handling, and we'll ship them out to you. We always reserve 3 of them for people that can't get to the Hamptons. Not a lot, but it's something. So, and if you go to bedsidereading.com/reserve, you can always reserve it. And I think it's like $29 to pay for shipping and handling. It's only in the U.S. that we could ship, but we could do that. So, yeah, we are available. We have a great team, and we're a woman-owned company, and we're diverse, and we celebrate diversity, and we celebrate authors.
I love that. And one of the things I always ask our amazing guests when they come on the program, is there any last-minute tips, tools, or things you want to share with us today?
So I want to go back to the beginning of the conversation, was to pay attention to the whispers in your life. There are no coincidences in my belief, but when something keeps happening over and over again, it could be the universe hitting you over the head saying, hey, pay attention, and then take action. You know, nothing drops in your lap. It's always about setting, you know, an idea or a goal, taking action steps every day, and then seeing it come into fruition. So it's always about getting that idea, taking action, and seeing it come through. And if you believe it, then it happens. And that's been my experience.
Well, thank you so much, Jane. I want to let you know that I am grateful for having you in my life and what you've done now for our Young Divas That Care book. I appreciate what you and your team are doing, and, you know, I want to thank you from all of us from the Divas That Care.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And you'll be seeing some media come out for your book, Candace, so I'm excited. I believe some things have already started to come out, so that'll be fun.
Oh, thank you so much. I hope, Jane, that you come back on the Divas That Care. We would love to connect with you more on what you were doing and how you were supporting so many amazing people out there.
I would love to, and I would also, at some point, I'd love to talk about how I manifest my success.
That would be a wonderful call. I think that our listener will have you back on to do that.
So, yeah, I'm into that. I love it. And if anybody wants to write me and send me an email, it's jane@bedsidereading.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jane.
My pleasure. And thank you so much, Candace. And I love your book.
Oh, no. Oh, thank you. That's awesome. And to all of our listeners out there, I'm going to be posting all of Jane's information on all of our social media because I think it's really important to connect with her and just to see what this amazing woman is doing. I love her social media. It is beautiful, and it's got so much great stuff in there. And I think if you're like me, you're going to love to follow it. So thank you again to the amazing Jane Ubel-Meyer. I am just beyond excited that she was able to come onto our program. And a big shout out to all of you amazing listeners. As I mentioned in the beginning of the program, it's because of you that our show is now in 11 seasons and over 30 countries. So a big shout out. There's so much gratitude to all of you out there. I hope that all of you take the show, send it to all your friends and family. And I also hope that you do something kind for somebody today. And until next time, everyone.
Thanks for listening. This show was brought to you by Divas That Care. Connect with us on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on divasthatcare.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.